Salak if you hear the dog in the background. Dog going crazy. Anyway, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory. Called up Allah, like Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So all praise to the Heavenly Father, in the name of His only begotten Son, the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ. This is your brother Ratazach. Back with another lesson. We're going to go over the Samaritans and how they are Israelites. So the Samaritans are Israelites, right? So we're going to go to the account in John chapter 4 with the Samaritan woman, right? And why Yahweh Shai was dealing with this certain Samaritan woman, right? So let's go to John chapter 4, verse 7, right? All praise to the Heavenly Father, man. All praises, right? John chapter 4, we're going to read verse 7. And it says, there cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. So the Samaritan woman, right? And a lot of people know about this Samaritan woman. A lot of Christians that like to go to this Samaritan woman and prove that, see, Christ deals with any nation. But that's not true, because she even tells herself that she's an Israelite. So we're just going to read, right? It says, Yahweh shall say it unto her, give me to drink, right? Verse 8, for his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. So he's alone with this Samaritan woman. His disciples are not with him right now. Then it says, then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, asketh drink of me? So she's asking, how, you being a Jew, what do you have to do with me, right? Meaning, being a Jew of Southern Kingdom, right? And I'm going to further elaborate on that too. So Christ being the Southern Kingdom, remember, at this point, the kingdoms are not split, Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, right? But I'm going to show you that the Northern Kingdom is not even in Israel. There is a small remnant in Israel, and we're going to go over that, right? So it says, then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. So, right at this point, right, the Jews wasn't fucking with the Samaritans, right? It was like they were beefing, baby, really, right? And of course, there's a small remnant of Israelites in Samaria. So you could, of course, right? They're not fucking with the Samaritans, and I'm gonna show you why they were not fucking with the Samaritans, right? But before I get that, I'm gonna show you that this woman is in fact an Israelite. Let's jump down to verse 12 real quick. It says, this is John 4 and 12. Art thou greater than our father Jacob? Why is she saying our father Jacob? Jacob is the progenitor of the Israelites. So if she's saying our father, she's looking at Yahweh Shai, talking to Yahweh Shai and asking him, are you greater than our father? So she's including herself in that lineage and saying that our father. So she's saying her father's also, and she said her father's an Israelite. He's an Israelite. She's saying that we go back to Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. Then it says, art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well and drank thereof himself and his children and his cattle? So she's saying she's an Israelite. But people, they go way past this and don't understand, because people just lack comprehension skills. They don't understand it. They don't know how to read. So of course Christ is gonna deal with her because she's an Israelite. I mean, of course, right? Ain't he only sent to the children of Israel? Let's read Matthew 15 and verse 24 in the AMP. He answered, this is in the AMP. It says, Matthew 15 verse 24. He answered, I was commissioned by Yahweh, right? This is his mission, right? I was commissioned by Yahweh and sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he's only sent to the children of Israel. That's why he's dealing with this woman. And this woman, she's admitting she's an Israelite herself, right? So let's prove now that the Samaritans are of the northern kingdom of Israel, right? This is first I'm gonna prove that they're Israelites, right? This is 1 Kings 16 and verse 29. In the 38th year of Asa, king of Judah, began Ahab, the son of Omri, to reign over Israel, right? Northern kingdom, right? Because at this point, the kingdom's already split. And Ahab, the son of Omri, reigned over Israel in Samaria 22 years. See, he reigned over Israelites in Samaria, because Samaria is in Israel. Let's keep reading. Let me go to another precept. 1 Kings 22, verse 51. Ahaziah, the son of Ahab, began to reign over Israel in Samaria, right? The 17th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and reigned 2 years over Israel. Not over Judah, over Israel. The king's already split, right? So that's 2 precepts showing you that Israel was being ruled over with a king in Samaria. Now let's go to Isaiah 7 and verse 9. It says, and the head of Ephraim, meaning the capital of Ephraim is Samaria. So proven right there, I don't even have to keep reading the whole verse. It's just showing you that the head of Ephraim is Samaria. So the capital of Ephraim is Samaria, proving that Ephraim is in Samaria, right? The northern kingdom is in Samaria. Samaria is, matter of fact, you know what? Let's read this. Hosea 8 and verse 5 in the NIV. It says, Samaria, throw out your calf idol, right? So look, right? Capital of Ephraim is Samaria. Of course, we see Israel being ruled in Samaria, right? Northern kingdom in Samaria. Now we see it say Hosea 8 and 5 in the NIV, Salakia. It says Samaria. This is the Most High speaking to the Samaritans and saying, Samaria, throw out your calf idol. Who do we know that is that was known to have a calf idol? Right? Remember, in Egypt, did not Israel build an idol, a calf idol, right? A golden cow? Doesn't that make sense to you now? Why the hell are they worshiping a calf idol? Let's keep reading. Look what the Most High says. My anger burns against them. Why would the Most High be angry at them for worshiping another god? Does not the scripture say that that idols are given to the other nations for them to worship? Like when you read, for example, let's get Deuteronomy 4 and verse 19, and I'm going to read it in the GNT, proving that other nations are allowed to serve other gods. This is Deuteronomy 4 and verse 19 in the GNT. It says, do not be tempted to worship and serve what you see in the sky, the sun, the moon, and the stars. Yahweh your God has given these to all other people for them to worship. Right? We are not allowed to worship any other deity, any other god. These are assigned to the nations to serve and worship. Let's get let me see if this is good too. I think it's 32. Let's get, this is Deuteronomy 32 and verse, do I want GNT? I'm reading the GNT. Let's hear how this sounds. This is Deuteronomy 32 verse 8. It says the Most High assigned nations their lands. So every nation got their own land, including the Israelites. Well, of course now we don't, but that's the land is now being occupied by other nations, right? Which we rightfully deserve. We rightfully own that land, right? It says the Most High assigned the nations their lands. He determined where people should live. He assigned to each nation a heavenly being, meaning what? They have a deity to serve. They have other gods that they serve, right? They have idols that they serve. It says, but Jacob's descendants he chose for himself. Actually, I like this translation. So every other nation has a deity that they look up to. 1 second, Israel. Salakia. Right? So every other nation has a god that they serve. So why would the Most High be angry at Samaritans for worshiping an idol, a calf idol? Right? Israel was known for worshiping a calf idol, right? A golden calf. When we came out of Egypt, we put this calf and said we're going to worship this calf as our God. So the Most High is angry at them. Right? Now let's go back to Hosea 8 and 5 in the NIV. Samaria, throw out your calf idol. My anger burns against them. how long will they be incapable of purity? Meaning, how long will they keep sinning, right? To worship other gods as they sin. But to worship other gods as they sin only on the children of Israel. Watch this, verse 6. They, the Samaritans, are from Israel. You see how that's a cut to anybody that says that Samaritans are not Israelites? Samaritans are Israelites. Let's keep reading. It says, this calf, a metal worker, has made it. It is not Yahweh. It will be broken in pieces, that calf of Samaria, right? Now let's go to 2 Kings 17 and verse 29. It says, howbeit, every nation made gods of their own. Every nation got their own gods, right? And put them in the houses of high places, which the Samaritans had made. Every nation in their cities wherein they dwell. So the Samaritans were trying to copy the other nations, but the Most High was angry at these people, right? Which they're Ephraim, right? Hosea 7 and verse 1 says, when I would have healed Israel, then the iniquity of Ephraim was discovered, and the wickedness of Samaria. Remember, the capital of Ephraim is what? Samaria. So he's calling Samaritans Israelites and Ephraimites, right? It says, well, it's like Ephraim is an Ephraimite is by default an Israelite. Ephraim is the tribe of Israel. So he's calling them Ephraim of the nation of Israel, right? And it says, for they commit falsehood. This is talking about the Samaritans. Remember, it's still talking about Samaria. It says, but they commit falsehood, and the thief cometh in, and the troop of robbers spoiled it not. I mean, spoiled without. So Most High is angry at Samaria because they're Israelites. Now, right? Let's go back to the account in John, right, to show you something else, right? The reason why the Most High, right? The reason why the Most High said Yahweh, so like the reason why Yahweh Shai, technically the Most High gets all the credit, but the reason why Yahweh Shai is dealing with this woman, obviously she's one, an Israelite. Two, he has to rebuke her because she's following after what her forefather, after what her wicked forefathers did, and they go to this mountain where they are both at, right, and they go and worship their gods. So let me show you. This is John 4:16. Yahweh Shai saith unto her, go, call thy husband and come hither, right? She's committing idolatry. He's calling her God her husband, right? Remember, our God, Yahweh, we are married to him, right? He's our husband and we are his wife. We're his bride, right? When you read Matthew the fifth, I think it's Matthew 25, right? Verse 1 through 5, it tells you that, you know, we're getting no, matter of fact, you know what? Let's read this actually. First, let me read the account. Matthew 25 and verse 25. It says, then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which are women, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. Right? So 10 women are being married unto who? The Most High. Right? And then the Most High even refers to us as a delicate woman, right? A comely and delicate woman, right? Israel is referred to a woman. Then let's go to I think it's 23. No. Let's get this. Matthew chapter 22 and verse 9. It says, go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. So we are coming back to this marriage, back to our Abanawa Yahweh, right? Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, right? Akkad is the only God that we serve and worship, right? Bahashim Yahweh Shai, of course. And remember, Most High told Yahweh Shai to go tell my people to go to the highways and the hedges. That's what we do all the time when we do camp, right? And as many as we find, we bid them to the marriage. So we're married unto the Most High. So that's why Yahweh Shai calls her God her husband, right? And then it says, then back to John 4 and verse 17, it says, the woman answered and said, I have no husband, right? Yahweh Shai said unto her, thou hast well said, I have no husband. Verse 18, for thou hast had 5 husbands. So she worships 5 different deities, worshiping other gods. That's what Samaritans were doing too. They worship other gods, right? Let's go to this real quick. Oops, Salakia. Let me get this real quick. Hosea 4 and 17. Ephraim, Samaritans, Ephraim is joined to idols. Let him alone. Right? So what the hell we have to like? That's why we, you know what I'm saying, Judah wasn't fucking with them, because they like, you fucking with idols. We worship the Most High, and I'm gonna elaborate more on that when we keep reading in John chapter 4, right? But we're gonna stop right here, right? We're gonna go back to John 4 and 18 and read this one more time. It says, for thou hast had 5 husbands. So Ephraim is known for joining themselves onto idols, right? So she's a northern kingdom woman, right, of the house of Ephraim, right? And it says that, for thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. The one you serve now is not your God, right? In that sayest thou truly. So he's saying you right. He's not your husband. That's not your God. You're not to be worshiping him. You are to come back to serving Abba Yahweh. That's your true husband. That's who you need to be worshiping and praising. That's why Yahweh Shai was dealing with this woman, and he had to rebuke her because she's in idolatry. Now watch this. Salaki, one more time. I got to take care of this dog. 1 second, Akim. All right, Salaki, again. Anyway, so what was I again? All right, boom, right. So Yahweh Shai had to, he had to rebuke this woman because she's an Israelite, right? There's no if, ands, or buts. There's no way to try to get around that, right? You can't get around that, right? That's like in your face. It's showing you. She's admitting she's an Israelite. He's telling her that you're worshiping the wrong God, right? And he had to rebuke it and tell her, you got to come back to this, right? Now, some people will ask this question. Well, if he's dealing with the Samaritan woman, why did Yahweh Shai say this? Let's go to Matthew 10 and verse 5, right? Why did Yahweh Shai say this, right? These 12, Yahweh Shai sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, right? And into any city of the Samaritans, right? Into any city of the Samaritans. He was dealing with a Samaritan woman, right? And it says, enter ye not, right? Why did he say this, right? Let's keep reading, though. It says, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But ain't she an Israelite? Aren't there Israelites in Samaria, in the Samaritan cities? Let's read 2 Kings 17, verse 24. I'm going to show you why Yahweh Shai told his disciples, don't go to any of these Gentiles. Now, these Gentiles are not Israelite Gentiles. They're not Israelite foreigners. They're actual Gentiles, actual bloodline heathens. Now let's read 2 Kings 17 verse 24, right? Don't go to any of the Samaritan cities, right? Remember this. It says, and the king of Assyria, which is where the northern kingdom went. Remember, the northern kingdom was in slavery under the Assyrian rulership, right? During the time of Hosea the king, right? And Hosea, remember, when you read Hosea, this actually confirms this too, right? And the history of the northern kingdom being in Assyria, right? You could literally do a Google search and show you that Israelites were in captivity in Assyria, but it was only the 10 tribes. It was not all 12 tribes were not under captivity of the Assyrians. It was the northern kingdom that got into the captivity of the Assyrians, and then the Jews was in captivity under the Romans. Now let's read on, right? It says, and the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon. That's where, remember, from Babylon, right? Which is what people like to call the Middle East, right? Anyway, it says from Cutha and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim, which are places, right? It says, and placed them in the cities of Samaria. So he took people of other regions, other nations, right? The king of Assyria took men from Babylon, Cutha, Ava, Hamath, and Sepharvaim, Sepharvaim. I'm probably butchering that. So 5 other nations of people are coming to live where? Place them in the cities of Samaria. That's why Yahweh Shai told his disciples, don't go to the Samaritan cities, because Israel's not there anymore. Watch this. It says, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. Let me give you a good example of this, right? I'm from Jersey City. There's a place in New Jersey called Hoboken. Hoboken is a place where it's a rich-ass neighborhood filled with heathens. Of course, there's Jake there too. Jake is there, but why the hell would we want to go to a place that's filled with cities to try to wake Jake up? We need to go to the cheap place of concourse, and go to where Jake really is at in the cities, man. Because that's where Jake likes to go out and party. Jake and Eve, they like to go out and do mad shit, right? Wicked ass worldly shit. That's what our people love to do, right? So we have to go into the place where majority of Israelites are at, right? We need to go to the majority of Israel, not where there's like 2-3 Israelites there and the rest is all heathens. We're gonna waste our damn time talking to damn heathens all damn day. That's why Yahweh said what? Matthew 10:6. Go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Go to where the majority of Israelites are at. Don't waste your time in the cities of the Samaritans, because those are not Israelites over there. There might be 2 or 3 Jakes over there, but them Jakes, they like to get out the city. Like even us, we be in the hood, but we like to get out the hood and go to where the party at. Right, we're going to the city. We're going downtown. You know what I mean? We're gonna go to Hoboken because Hoboken has a lot of clubs and shit, right? But it's predominantly it's Esau and all other heathens, right? Elam and whatever, man. All the other nations are there. Yes, Jake is there, but the most after Yahweh told them, go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Don't go to where the majority of heathens are at, right? So Israelites are not possessing Samaria at this time. Samaritans, right? These Samaritans are Babylonians, right? They're from Babylon, Cutha, Ava, Hamath, and Sepharvim, which are what Hamite. These are Hamitic people. Hamitic people are there. Understand that. So these are not actual Ephraimites anymore. They're not Israelites anymore. There might be there is a remnant in every nation that you go. That's why when you read Matthew 28 and verse 19, it tells you to go and make disciples of all nations. That's why we have to go to all nations. When you read James 1:1, right, it tells you that to the Israelites scattered abroad, right? All the 12 tribes are scattered everywhere. Right? Now let's go to 1 Kings 14:14 real quick to show you more proof that Israelites will be taken out of Samaria, out of their land, where they possess, right? Ephraim, the north, right? It says, 1 Kings 14 and verse 14. Moreover, Yahweh shall raise him up a king over Israel, who shall cut off the house of Jeroboam that day. But what? Even now, verse 15, for Yahweh shall smite Israel. He's gonna smite the northern kingdom as a reed is shaken in the water, and he shall root up Israel out of this good land which he gave to their fathers, and shall scatter them beyond the river. Right? What river is this talking about? Right? What is this talking about? Right? So he's gonna take them out their land, put them somewhere else. Right? And it says, because they have made their groves, provoking Yahweh to anger. They made other gods, they made deities, and they got strip clubs and all of that. Right? A grove is also known as a strip club. So they have their women, dressing provocatively, butt ass naked, right? Doing stripping on a damn pole, doing worldly nonsense, right? That's why the Most High was angry with them, and he put them far beyond the river, right? Now let's go first, Salaki. Before I get there, let me get Matthew 10 and verse 11. It says, and into whosoever city or town ye shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy. So that's why when we go to these cities, we have to see who is worthy, meaning who in here is an Israelite. We can't go based off. We cannot go based off right, the outward appearance. That's why Yahweh said this, right? Let's go to John 7 and verse 24 real fast. Right? This is John 7 and verse 24. It says, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. So we you know what I'm saying, we look from within. We look spiritually, right? Because this is a spiritual battle, right? Now let's go to 1 John 4 and 1. It says, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of Yahweh. So we have to understand, we got to try the spirits, right? This is a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual battle. It's not about flesh. It's not about the flesh, right? It's like it, well, to a certain extent, right? But we're not looking at your flesh. We're not looking at your outward appearance. We're looking from what's within. Because you got Jake that look like heathens today, right? You got many Jakes like Drake. He lives like Drake's son, right? Many others, man. I don't got to go down the list. You know what I'm saying? There's many Israelites. Like even me, people look at me and they say, first thing they say is, you look like an Arab. Am I Arab? No, my father's an Israelite from the tribe of Ephraim. His father's an Israelite, Taino descent. His father, right? So let's go back to Matthew 10 and verse 11. Again, it says, and into whatsoever city or town ye shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till ye go thence. So we have to go there and hold camp. That's why we go to Times Square. That's why we go. We hit the major cities because we know Jake likes to party. Jake likes hitting the cities. Jake likes to live that city life, right? So remember, that's what we're told to do is hit the streets, compel them to come in, right? Go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Let's get matter of fact, let's go to, let me get this one precept before I move on to showing you where these Israelites went across, right? What river, what was that? What was that when it says, let me go back to 1 Kings 14 and 15. It says, for Yahweh shall smite Israel as a reed is shaken in the water, and he shall root up Israel out of this good land. So they taken out their land, and it says, which he gave to their fathers, and shall scatter them beyond the river. I'm going to show you what that river is, but before I get this, let me show you this real quick. This is Psalm 147 and verse 2. I'm going to read it in the KJV first. It says, Yahweh does build up Jerusalem. He gathereth together the outcast of Israel. So outcast meaning they've been what? Notice another word for outcast. Exile. Let's read it in the NIV. Psalm 147 and 2 in the NIV. Yahweh builds up Jerusalem. He gathers the exiles of Israel, right? Now let's read this in the NABRE. It says Yahweh rebuilds Jerusalem because why? We've been destroyed, right? We've been taken down. We've been scattered. So he's trying. The Most High is not trying. He will rebuild us, and we will come back together as one nation, right? And it says, and gathers the dispersed of Israel. Remember, we are part of the diaspora, which is of the dispersing of all the Israelites, and we're scattered amongst all Israel. We're scattered among all the nations, right? Let's get, before I get this, let me get this real quick. Let me see this. Salakia. This is Joel chapter. No, hold on. Wait a minute. No. I don't want Joel. I'm trying to see this real quick. Boom. Tobit 13 and verse 3. Confess him before the Gentiles. Why does it not just say, profess him to all people? It says, confess him before the Gentile. He's talking to the Israelites and he's telling them, you need to confess the Lord amongst all these heathens. Don't be afraid. Be strong and courageous. Be of good courage. That's why you got to keep the law. So you can be strong and courageous and you can confess him before the Gentiles. Right? And it says, ye, look, watch this. Tobit 13 and 3. Confess him, Yahweh, before the Gentiles, ye children of Israel, for he had scattered us among them. We Israelites are scattered amongst all the nations. That's why Christ told us to go and make disciples of all nations, because there's Israelites in all nations. But why would you want to go to a city or any place that's predominantly heathens? We are called to do exactly what Yahweh Shai told us, because the Most High commanded him, and he's the top general, and we have to listen to our general. And he told us to go gather the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That was his mission. He's been commissioned by the Most High to do this. Like I said in Matthew 15 and 24, and we are also commissioned to go and get the Israelites. That's why Yahweh Shai was dealing with them, and the Most High is going to gather back his elect, right? And we're going to be restored back again, the dispersed, the dispersed ones, the exiles, the outcasts of Israel, predominantly the northern kingdom. They've been They've been outcast. They were the ones being called Gentiles, right? Because when you're no longer God's people, what are you now? You're now a Gentile. Now, I'm going to show you that river that was from the great beyond. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 13 and verse 39. It says, and whereas thou sawest, whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him. So like, wait a minute, 1 second. Yeah. It says, this is verse 40. Those, remember, let me read it one more time, right? Because I got distracted with this one verse. I want to see if I'm going to bring this up first, but let's read this. It says 2nd Ezra 13 and verse 39. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, right? The Most High through Yahweh is going to gather another peaceable multitude, right? Unto him. I'm gonna stop there. This is John 10 and verse 16. A quick precept. The other sheep I have. This is Yahweh speaking. And the other sheep I have, right? The other peaceable multitude, which are not of this fold, which are not the Jews, which are not Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, right? Well, so like predominantly Judah and Benjamin, because Levi is scattered amongst all the nations. Amongst all the tribes. That's why it was 10 tribes and not just 9 tribes. It was 10 tribes because Levi doesn't have a land, doesn't have an inheritance. His inheritance was to be the priest of the Most High, lawyer, right? The lawyer. That's where you get the word lawyer from, right? Lawyer, lawaya, which is to be the priest of the Most High, and lawyer in Hebrew, it means joined to God, right? So they don't have an actual physical land. Now, of course, you got Haiti, right? Which is, but it's not just its own land. It's being occupied also with so-called Dominicans, which are the Simeonites, right? And right. So it says John 10 and verse 16, and other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. So let's go back to 2nd Ezra 13 and 39. Let's read it again. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those other sheep which are not of this fold, right? He has to gather them up. He has to gather them all together. Verse 40. The other peaceable multitude, Salakia, those are the 10 tribes. Remember, I told you, the 10 tribes. Remember, you have the northern kingdom and you have Levi that's scattered amongst these tribes, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, right? Which we read about that, right? Which I expounded on that, and it's expounded more, which I said about the when they was in Assyria, right? It says, who own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. Remember that he put those 5 other heathens, those Hamitic people in Samaria instead of the children of Israel, so they got replaced, right? And it says the king of Assyria led away captive, right? And he carried them over the waters. Remember, they went far across that river, right? It says, and so came they into another land, but they took this counsel among themselves. Remember that. Let me stop right there. It says he carried them over the waters. What form do you get carried over the waters? There was no such thing as planes back in the day. There was no floating cars. Took them on ships. They was on boats, right? They went on ships. So you see, it's not just the Southern Kingdom. For all you so-called Negro owners out there, the Northern Kingdom also went on slave ships too, right? They went on cargo slave ships. They went on slavery on ships, right? So let's keep reading. It says, but they took this counsel among themselves, talking about the Northern Kingdom, right? The 10 tribes, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country which never mankind dwelt, right? And where is this place at? It's gonna expound on it, right? That's obvious. Where never mankind dwelt. Think about it. You learn this in school. Christopher Columbus discovered America where nobody was, but people were already here. These people were here first. The Northern Kingdom, and with Levi was scattered amongst them, was here in the Americas first. Let's keep reading. It says that they might there keep their statues, which they never kept in their own land, right? Because remember, they were in captivity under the Assyrians, right? Under Salmanassar, right? During the time of Hosea the king, right? So like it says that they might there keep their statues, which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood. So he held still that water, until they were passed over, right? That's also symbolic, by the way, too. So they passed over the river. They went safely, right? They went safely. Now watch this. For through that country, there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. Arsareth, right? The word Arsareth goes back to the word, let me show you real quick. Let's get this real quick. Right? Strong's H6237. Asar, right? To tithe. Take the 10th part of. Give it tithe. Take it, right? So 10th, right? This is Strong's H6235. Same word, Asar, right? Spelled differently, but the Hebrew word is still the same. Just the definition. Watch this. Asar, 10. That's what the word means. It means 10, right? Watch this. When you go into the Strong's definition, it says Arsarith, Arsarith, right? Which means 10, right? Now, why did I go there? Showing you that the word Arsarith goes back to the word 10, which is where the 10 tribes of Israel were dwelling, which now when you go into the Jewish encyclopedia, Columbus identified this with America. So Arsarith, where the 10 tribes are dwelling, is America. So that's why there wasn't Israelites in Samaria. That's why Yahweh said, don't go to them. Go wherever the Israelites are predominantly at. That's what this is talking about. Now let's go back to let's go to Acts 14 and verse 27, right? No matter of fact, let's go back to 2 Ezra 13 and 45 real quick. It says, through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. Verse 46. They then dwelt there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. So they dwelt there until remember the prophecy had to happen with Columbus and all of that, and of course the enslavement of the Northern Kingdom again, and how the what happened in 1492, and of course during the 1400s and the 1500s, right? And we're still slaves till today. But we all know about that year, 1492, right? 1493, and it keeps going, right? So basically the early 1500s, right, where the Northern Kingdom was getting destroyed, right? 77 million natives died in this land. That's a big number. Understand that, right? So, right, Acts 14 and verse 27. This is when they were come and had gathered the church together. Now, the word church goes back to the body of Israelites, right? It says they had gathered the church together. They rehearsed all that God had done with them, and now He had opened the door of faith unto the Gentiles. So now, remember, after Christ's death, burial, resurrection, now the door has been opened to the Gentiles. Which Gentiles? Those that were the outcasts, the dispersed, right? The exiles of Israel. Those that are not being called Israelites anymore. Just yesterday at camp, somebody was calling me. So this idiot, this person called me a heathen and said, you're not an Israelite, you're a Gentile. And I'm like, well, and even I proved that I'm an Israelite, and I proved that I'm of the tribe of Ephraim, still didn't believe it. That's how I know Israel is so stiff-necked and stupid. And that's how I know y'all are Israelites. And guess who it was? It was a Northern Kingdom woman as well. Simple, right? So it says, now He had opened the door of faith unto the Gentiles. And that's why at that time, remember, the Jews, they wasn't fucking with the Northern Kingdom at the time. They were calling them common and unclean niggas, right? They was like, nah, we ain't fucking with y'all. And that's why at the time, right, they was getting angry because they were like, wait a minute, I thought salvation was just open to the Jews. Why you got to give it to them? Those are Gentiles. They ain't fucking with you, right? They're not close to you like we are, Yahweh Shai, right? They are Israelites though. See what I'm saying? Even back in the day, they was getting prophecies fucked up. And that's what we have to understand and dissect these scriptures to understand, like, dude, those people are Israelites. So, right now, let's go to this. Remember what Yahweh said. Let's go back to John 4. Read verse 22. We're going to read this in the NLT. John 4, verse 22. It says, you Samaritans know very little about the one you worship. Right? Yeah, why is Yahweh say this to the Samaritan woman? Remember, A few verses up, she admitted that the husband that she or the God that she serves is not her true God, right? So it says, "You Samaritans know very little about the one you worship, while we Jews, remember, Yahushua come from the lineage of Judah, the tribe of Judah, while we Jews know all about him." That's why the Jews wasn't fucking with the northern kingdom, because they're like, yo, you niggas don't know about Yahweh, right? It says, "For salvation comes through the Jews." So remember, salvation first had to come through the Jews. Remember, the Jews first, then the northern kingdom is allowed to come back in. They're allowed to get grafted back in. Let's get Romans 2:10 real quick. "But glory, honor, and peace to every man that worketh good, to the Jew first, and also to the Gentile." Which Gentile? The Hellenistic Jews, the exiles that have been exiled from the exiled Israelites, right? The dispersed Israelites, right? And all the Israelites that have been scattered abroad all across the four corners of the earth. That's who was allowed to come back in. Let's get Romans 11 and verse 23. It says, "And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in." Now, a lot of Christians will stop and be like, "See, the Gentiles can be grafted in," but you don't even know what the word grafting even means. You don't even know how to. People have to understand. Grafting, right, is basically is used for like gardening, right? Let's say you cut something. I think it's something that gets cut from the root, right? Let me show you something real quick. Let's go to the word grafting. Watch this. Let's see real quick. Grafting. All right, grafting is the act of placing a portion of one plant, bud, or scion into or on a stem, root, or branch of another stock in such a way that a union will be formed, and the partners will continue to grow. The part of the combination that provides the root is called the stock. The added piece is called the scion. Right. But when you grafting has to be let's watch this. Watch this. To attach a twig or bud from one plant to another plant, so they are joined and grow together. And watch this. Number two, to join one thing to another as if by grafting graft skin. So in order for you to graft one plant to another plant, it has to be of the same family, of course, because you can't take what's that? What are the things called? Fly eating plant. Forgot what them things is called. And then you're gonna take oh my god, a dandelion, and then try to grow them together. It won't grow. It's not gonna. It's not gonna do anything, right? That's why when you see the parable in Romans 11, when it talks about the two trees, one's a wild olive and another one's an olive tree. Are they not olive trees though? They're still of the same family. One's wild, the other one is not. So let's go back to Romans 11 and verse 23, because if you know about grafting, it has to be of the same family, right? And it says, "And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for Yahweh is able to graft them in again." Wait a minute. When were the heathens ever grafted in? The heathens were never grafted in. So it's saying they have to be grafted in again. Heathens were never grafted in, but the northern kingdom was grafted at one point. They have to come back again. Let that sink in. Now let's go to verse 26. "So all Israel shall be saved." Telling you that these Gentiles who are being grafted in, it's not spiritual Gentile. I mean, it's not a spiritual Israelite. There's no such thing as a spiritual Israelite. You cannot convert to another race of people. I can't say today I want to be a Moabite. It's impossible. I can't do that. I just the same as well as a Moabite cannot convert to being an Edomite. You can't. You can't convert a tribe. You cannot convert to another ethnicity. That's impossible. You can change citizenships, but you can't change your bloodline. Boom. Right? So Romans 11:26. So all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, "There shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob." That's talking about Yahweh Shai and how he's coming to gather his elect, right, which are of Israel. It says, "For this is my covenant unto them when I shall take away their sins." Who sins? The Israelites sins. That's why Israel's allowed to be grafted in again. It's not talking about no damn spiritual Israel. It ain't talking about no damn heathen being joined in with us, because all you heathens have a judgment written for you, and you cannot escape the Lord's judgment. Now, let's go to Acts 10 and verse 28. It says, and he said unto them, you know how that it is an unlawful thing, how it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation, right? But God has showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Right? I said that earlier. This is not a law in the Torah. You cannot find this law anywhere. This is something that the Jews had made up, right? Because they remember what's that shit called? The Pharisees and all of that, right? They were saying, listen, don't fuck with the Northern Kingdom Israelites over there. Don't fuck with nobody that's not being called a Jew, right? These niggas don't want to be called Jews. They Gentiles, they Greeks, right? Which when you go into the word Gentile or Greek in the New Testament, it's talking about it says Hellenese or Hellenistic, which are Greek-speaking Jews, right? Jews that are not referring to themselves as Israelites, but are being called other nations, being called other names, right? Because they it's like here in America how we're Israelites, but we don't really like, well, those that are in the truth don't like to call themselves by the name that they were referred to by the slave master, but people over here, they like to call themselves blacks, Hispanics, natives, Latinos, right? Cherokee Indian, right? Even in the word Indian, that's a byword too, right? So, right, this is Peter's vision, and the Most High told Peter, don't call no one common or unclean, right? But he's talking about the Israelites. He ain't talking about another nation. Remember, Cornelius was a Roman centurion, right? He was in the Roman army, right? Because the Italians are Romans. But he was born in Caesarea, which is where? Israel, which is modern day Palestine. So he's also an Israelite too. When you read Acts 10, the first chapter, Acts 10 and the first verse, right? So this is just referring to the Gentiles that can come back to the fold and be grafted back in again to be part of God's people again. Right? Now let's go to Hosea 1 and 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, right? Because we're not the minority, we're really the majority. Right? It says, and it cannot be measured nor numbered, and it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, right? These people, the northern kingdom, and all the ones that have been exiled are being called not my people, right? Now watch this. There it shall be said unto them here in the Americas and anywhere that you've been a captive towards. It says, you are the sons of the living God, right? You are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of, right? And the Most High said this, right? Romans 9 and verse 25, as I just read in Hosea. This is Paul reiterating this, as he saith also in Hosea, I will call them my people, which are not my people, right? Gentile. If you're being called a Gentile, you're not God's people, right? And it says, and her beloved, which was not beloved, right? And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God. It's talking about Israelites the whole entire time. Right? Romans 9 and verse 1. I say the truth in Hamashiach Yahushai, I lie not. My conscience also bear me witness in the Holy Ghost. Paul got the Holy Spirit on him right now. Look what Paul says. That I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ, for my brethren. The word brethren means having the same ancestor, the same forefather. It says, my kinsmen according to the flesh. Remember, it's not spiritual Israelites. You're an Israelite according to the flesh, according to your bloodline, right? And it says, who are Israelites? So Paul's brethren are Israelites. When you read Romans the 11th chapter in the first verse, Paul tells you he's an Israelite of the tribe of Benjamin, and God did not cast away his people. Understand that. Just because you're this person you're exiled, right? You're an outcast, does not mean that you're cast away forever. Because remember, I forgot that verse in Ecclesiastes. I think it's Ecclesiastes, where it tells you that there's no nation has been exterminated yet. But Esau, that's coming for you, right? It says, who are Israelites, so whom pretended the adoption. That's why they can be grafted in. They have the adoption. They are adopted back in. You have no father. You have no God. The God that you serve is not the Father. But now, through the faith of Yahweh Shai, you are now adopted back into the fold. You didn't have a father, but I'll be your father again. Now you're adopted. I'm adopting you as my children again, right? And it says the adoption, the glory, the covenants, the old and the new. right? And the giving of the law. So the laws were given to Israel, right? I'm gonna hold this right quick. This is let's read Psalm 147 and verse 19. It says he gives his message to his, reading the GNT. Psalm 147 and verse 19 in the GNT. He gives his message to his people. He instructs, who's his people? Israel. He instructs his instructions and laws to Israel. He has not done this for other nations. They do not know his laws. Praise ye Yahweh. All praises called up of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Right? So it says, read it again, Romans 9 and 4. Remember, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption. They can be grafted back in, the glory. Right? They can be given that light, the covenants, the old and the new, the giving of the law, right? That's what literally gets you salvation, is by keeping the laws of the Most High. Right? And it says, and the service of the Most High, the service of Yahweh. Yahweh is in the midst of Israel. This is Joel chapter 2, verse 27. It says, and ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed. Right? See that? So let's read it one more time. Romans 9 and 4. Who are Israelites, to whom pertain the adoption, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, the service of God, and the promises. All the promises belong to the children of Israel. That includes you too, Samaria, right? It's whose are the fathers, and of whom concerning the flesh Christ came, who is over all, Yahweh blessed forever. Amen. So Christ is over all of Israel. Ephraim is in Samaria, which is Israel. Northern Kingdom Israelites, which are not even there anymore. Now they're being called other nations, right? Romans 9 and 14. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with the Most High? Yahweh forbid. Meaning, no, it's not unrighteous. Verse 15. For he said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So Yahweh showed mercy to that Samaritan woman. Yahweh showed compassion to that Samaritan woman. Why? Because she's an Israelite. So that proves it right there. Samaritans are Israelites, right? The Samaritans are Israelites. But remember, the reason why he told them don't go into the Gentiles and to the way of the Samaritans is because they weren't there at that time. There was a small remnant that was left there. We're scattered everywhere. Remember that. So remember, Matthew 10 and 5, these 12, Yahweh sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles. Don't go to any other heathens. Don't go to no heathens at all. And into the city of the Samaritans. Don't go to no cities of Samaria. Enter ye not. Don't go over there. Don't waste your time over there. Right? But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Go call my people back. That's our mission. Right? The Samaritans are Israelites. You cannot get around that. And with that, I give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. I say, Kwam Yashala and Mawaf Lababal.